Good day, we are the Group 8 and will be tackling about sedimentary and phosphorus cycle. Sedimentary cycle. This cycle varies from one element to another, but each cycle consists fundamentally of a solution or water-related base and a rock or sediment base. Some dissolve in water, pass through a series of organisms, and ultimately reach the deep seas, where they settle out of circulation indefinitely. An example of this cycle all depends on the kinds of weather. Existing rocks can be broken down into small pieces or sediments called weathering, and there are three types of weathering. So, first one is physical weathering, which is caused by temperature changes. When it rains, the water gets into the cracks of the rock. When the water freezes, it expands and forces the rocks to break apart. Number two is chemical weathering. It changes the chemical composition of the rock, usually through carbonation, hydration, hydrolysis, or oxidation. This is when acid rain reacts with substance and rocks. Third one is biological weathering. The sediments formed by this weathering can be moved away by water, wind, or gravity, and it is called erosion. Eventually, sediments may end up all in one place, and this process is called deposition. More layers of sediments are deposited on top of each layer, and over the years, the weight of the layers above compress the ones below, and they tend to harden into the sedimentary rocks, which is the process called compaction. So next slide is phosphorus cycle. Along with water cycle, carbon cycle, and nitrogen cycle, the phosphorus cycle is another biogeochemical that is essential for life on Earth. Phosphorus is essential for plant and animal growth and the health of microbes inhabiting the soil. And phosphorus cycle is a slow process that involves four key steps. The first one is weathering. Weathering along with rain breaks down the phosphorus and rocks, and it travels through the soil and into the water sources. Second one is absorption. Once in the soil, fungi, plants, and microorganisms are able to absorb phosphorus and then grow, but some of it makes its way into the ocean, and animals are able to drink this water and absorb the water along with the phosphorus. Then animal will eat plants, and plants will get the phosphorus as well. And the composition. Animals excrete waste, hence the composers are able to use the phosphorus in the waste material. Likewise, when the plants and animals die, the bacteria convert the organic phosphorus into inorganic phosphorus, and this process is called mineralization. Last one is sediment. Some of the phosphorus gets buried in the sediments and becomes rock. Then the cycle continues. Some of the phosphorus in the soil gets washed in the ocean where a similar process takes place.
Hi, and good day to you all. My name is John Darren de Guzman, and today we will talk about anthropogenic effects. Before we begin, let me explain what anthropogenic effect means. It is an effect or object that result from human activities. Now, phosphorus is mined from phosphate rocks and guano deposits and is used for a wide range of purposes, including the manufacture of detergents, fertilizers, and food additives. But for this video, we will mainly focus on fertilizers. Now, fertilizers has three components. One is phosphorus, which we mentioned a while ago. Second is nitrogen, and the third is potassium. Now, only a small proportion of the applied phosphorus fertilizer becomes available for crop uptake. In any 1 year, so phosphorus must be continually applied to maintain yields. The accumulation of phosphorus in soil has severe environmental implications because it accelerates the rate at which phosphorus leaks into aquatic system through the drainage water. Now, I have a question for you all. Do you think that this leak can somehow damage the bodies of water? But before we answer that, please like and share this video and comment in the comment section if you got the correct answer. Now, have you thought about your answers? The correct answer is yes. A small amount of phosphorus can dramatically alter the trophic status of water bodies. Now, This could lead to phosphorus pollution in the bodies of water, which can contribute to serious health problems for both the animals and us humans. While phosphorus is not directly toxic, phosphorus pollution can accelerate the process of eutrophication in receiving water bodies. Now, eutrophication is when an entire body of water is significantly enriched with minerals and nutrients. Now, I know what you're all thinking is, hey, John, isn't that like a good thing? Because it enriched the bodies of water with minerals and nutrients to support the marine life. No, I assure you, it is not, it doesn't sound good. Although it may sound good, but it technically is not. Now, eutrophication sets off a chain reaction in the ecosystem where it has an overabundance of algae in plants. When the excess algae in plants decomposes, it produces large amounts of carbon dioxide and becomes a dead zone where it is unsuitable to sustain marine life.
Greetings and salutations to all. My name is Christian Gerardi Galeria, and the next topic that I would be presenting is about epigenetics. So, when you say epigenetics, your genes are like a vital or pivotal role in your health, but so are your behaviors and to the environment, such as what you eat and how active you are. And thus, it is a study or publication of how your behaviors and environment can affect the way your genes function, unlike genetic changes. Epigenetic changes are reversible and do not alter the sequence of your DNA, but they can alter how your body reads a DNA sequence. So gene expression is influenced by epigenetic changes in a variety of ways. The following are examples of epigenetic changes, like methylation of DNA. It is a process of DNA methylation involves the addition of a chemical group to DNA. It typically added to specific locations on the DNA where it inhibits the proteins that are attached to the DNA to read the gene. Next is histone readjustments. Proteins are proteins that wrap around DNA. Proteins that read the gene cannot access DNA wrapped tightly around histones. Lastly, non-coding RNA, ncRNA. Your DNA serves as a blueprint for the production of both coding and non-coding RNA. Some may ask, like, what can you say when it comes to epigenetic changes? Well, it begins before you are born. Like all the cells have the same genes but look and act differently as you grow and develop. Epigenetics helps determine which function a cell will have. For example, whether it will become a heart cell, nerve cell, or skin cell. One example is nerve cell versus muscle cell. Muscle cells and nerve cells have the same DNA but work differently. A nerve cell transports information to other cells in your body. A muscle cell has a structure that aids in your body's ability to move. Epigenetics allows the muscle cell to turn on genes to make proteins important for the job or its job and turn off genes important for a nerve cell's job.
Uninvasive species are the leading threats to native wildlife. These species can be accidentally transferred from its original place to another environment. Huge numbers of native species are at risk and could be endangered species to its origin. That is because of the native species that comes from the other countries or environments. Human health and economies can also be threatened by these invasive species. We have to keep in mind that the term invasive species has been used to describe a species that represents at least one of the following characteristics. 1. Inhabits an area outside of its current range of distribution. 2. Reaches high abundances and dominates space. 3. Competes with native species for limiting resources. 4. Has recently or is currently increasing its range size. And the last, if it causes or is likely to cause harm to human health, economies, or environments. When a species is new to its ecosystem, then such species destroy, create, or otherwise modify habitats, thereby affect resources or stressors that affect other organisms. Let's take an example, the brown tree snake species that invade the ecosystem of Guam in 1950s. Military officials, along with wildlife, agriculture, and ecological services, have been working for several decades to isolate and eradicate the brown tree snake. Our ecosystems are not flexible enough to cope with change. However, it can adapt, but will take a long time enough and do permanent damage not just to animals but to the human health, economies, and environment as well.